This is Athletes as Educators with former pro basketball player, championship winning coach, and author Angela R. Lewis. Angie Lewis interviews current and former athletes who are passionate about sharing the lessons they've learned and the experiences that have shaped their lives. A resource for parents, a guide for student athletes, a source for current and former athletes, keys to transition off the court. Welcome to the Athletes as Educators podcast with Angela R. Lewis.
Welcome to this episode of Athletes as Educators. I'm your host, Angie Lewis. Very excited that we have Earl Austin Jr. on the podcast today. Earl has been a sports journalist for 30 years, played college basketball at Lindenwood University, had his jersey retired recently, is in their Hall of Fame. He also works with Prep Hoops Missouri and runs the website earlaustinjr.com that is the go-to site for everything basketball in the St. Louis region. Earl, thank you so much for joining me today.
Angie, thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Now, I've known you since I was about 12 years old, and what I love about you is that you've always been the same and you've always been supportive, and you're really a staple in our community when it comes to youth sports. So thank you for all that you've given to us.
Well, thank you very much for those kind comments. It's been a labor of love, like you say, for 30 years, and when you cover athletes such as yourself, it makes the job easy.
Will you talk a little bit about your sports background? Because you were a baller. You scored over 1,900 points in college. That doesn't come easy.
No, it doesn't. I played at McClure North High School here in Florissant, and I went to Lindenwood University, as you mentioned, in the early 80s. I come from a basketball family. My uncle named Wes Unfeld, and he was an Hall of Famer and played for the Washington Bullets, now Wizards, in the NBA for 13 years. He was an All-American at the University of Louisville, and he was one of the all-time 50 top players in the history of the NBA. And that's my mother's side of the family. My mother's younger brother, and she had some other brothers. My Uncle George played at the University of Kansas, and I had other uncles that played college ball. My father coached me when I was little Earl Austin Sr. So basketball is kind of always in the family background. Grew up watching the Washington Bullets games on TV at the house, and watching their playoffs and their championship runs and everything. So I just kind of loved the sport and loved to play, and just kind of became a little baller myself, so to speak.
Now, what impact has sports had on your life overall? It's amazing that your uncle was Wes Unseld. I feel like I should have known that. I didn't know that. And clearly, basketball has opened doors. Can you talk a little bit more about the impact of sports?
Yeah, it's had a tremendous impact on my life. Obviously, it allowed me to go to college and get an education through basketball, and even in my post-playing days, once I put the ball down, I've been still able to follow the sport, and through my job, 30 years of covering basketball in various entities. One of the things I do is I do color commentary for St. Louis University men's basketball on the radio for the past 26 years. So through basketball and the Billikens, I've been able to travel all over the country, and I've been to Hawaii like 6 times. I've been to Puerto Rico. I've been to the Virgin Islands. I've been to Mexico. I've been to nearly every state in the country. I'm not quite every one yet, but meet hundreds, thousands of different people, meet some famous people, interview famous people through the sport of basketball. It's just been something I've loved to do as a player, and I coached a little bit, and now as a member of the media, and it's just enabled me to do so many things which I probably wouldn't have been able to do had I not picked up the ball so many years ago.
It's pretty amazing the doors that sports can open, and also the people that you meet, from your color commentating to playing to coaching to publishing your books. What has been your most memorable sports moment?
I think probably as a big brother, my most memorable sports moment, twice in 1986. This is even before, while I was still in college. I had a chance to watch my sisters and Courtney, her McClure North team, won the state championship in girls basketball in Class 4A, and Courtney hit the game-winning basket at the last second to give McClure North their only girls state championship, and that was a thrill because I've worked with Courtney for many years, individually trying to get her ready to play, and just to see her have that moment and win a state championship for her school was a blessing. And then 9 years later, I had a younger brother, Richard, who played at Cardinal Ritter College Prep, and they went to Columbia in the state championship game, and they won the Class 2A state championship. And he played with some great players, Lauren Woods and Chris Carrawell, who both played in the NBA. And I got a chance not only to be in Columbia, but to sit in the exact same seat in the Hearn Center that I did 9 years earlier for my sister Courtney for Richard. So, I've had a lot of great things that happened for myself, but to see a couple of my siblings enjoy a state championship moment for them, that's most memorable. And then now I get a chance to work with my sister's children, Austin and Robin. Robin played at MICDS. He was an all-state player, and now he's at Missouri State playing Division I basketball. And his younger brother, Austin, is now a point guard at MICDS. So being able to work individually with her children and, have them try to realize their goals and dreams of playing college basketball, those are memorable moments that I'll always remember. Getting your number retired, that wasn't bad either.
Right. I was waiting for you to mention that one.
Yeah.
That's pretty extraordinary. I didn't realize that your sister scored the game-winning shot. That's amazing. That has to feel very good as a big brother.
Oh, it was. It was really exciting. They had lost to this team like 6 years previous, kicked the Mills, and they had a chance to get some revenge. And Courtney didn't play a whole lot during the season, but the day of the state championship game, we called her in the hotel, myself and my dad, and we told her, "You got to stay ready tonight. This team is going to need you if they're going to win a state championship. They're going to need you, so you stay ready." And like I said, Courtney wasn't one of the starters, didn't play a whole lot, but then lo and behold, we had two girls foul out, another with 4 fouls, and we had lost a 13-point lead in the fourth quarter, and she got a bucket, a big rebound, and then it was a missed free throw, and we were down 1, she got the rebound, put it in, got fouled, and we won by 2 points. So, it started her great career for her. She went on to Lindenwood. She followed me when I left Lindenwood. She followed in, and she had a great career, and she got inducted into the Hall of Fame as well.
Wow. Both of y'all in the Hall of Fame at Lindenwood. That's rare to have siblings do that. You mentioned something that was pretty endearing. You said that you used to work with her to get her ready. As you know, I have older brothers who were my trainers as well growing up. Will you talk a little bit about the importance of siblings and siblings that you've seen over the years?
Oh, it's tremendous. I mean, especially if you're a part of a family that's kind of doing the same thing, whether it be sports, whether it be music, education, or whatever. I mean, if you have a sibling that's kind of gone through it, it's, you learn so much, and it's very important to have, you have a great relationship with your siblings, just in general, that it's the best. Not everybody is blessed with that, but, me and my sister and brother, it's been, when we talk to each other all the time. My brother lives in Dallas. My sister, obviously, she lives here in St. Louis. But when you have that, you can have that kind of relationship when you can talk any time of the day and just pick up like you were 20 years ago when you were little, back in the backyard playing around, and you still, you're grown. Everybody has their own family doing their own thing, having their own careers and everything, but you still, can pick up at any time and, talk to brother or sister like it's, like your little kids are. There's nothing like that. To have that with Courtney and Richard is, like I said, it's blessed to still have that. I'm 51, she's in her 40s, and Richard, he's the baby. He was born 13 years later, but he's still like the baby, especially when things happen. Both our parents passed away in the last 6-7 years, and that even draws you closer together.
Yep, absolutely. It is pretty tremendous, though, to have families who share the same interests. Will you talk?
No doubt. Yeah.
Will you talk a little bit about your transition from playing college ball into being a sports journalist?
Sure. It's funny because it kind of went hand in hand because when I played in high school, when I played in college, I wrote for the school newspaper in high school and college. So I was playing at the time, but then I was still kind of, I was a communications major, so I did a lot of writing on the different sports. Other than basketball, I covered the football team. In high school, I covered the baseball team, and I did my high school basketball back where I wrote a big synopsis, and presented it to the school banquet, about 25 pages on our season, a lot of funny stories, quotes, and all that different type of stuff. And then in college, not only I wrote the school newspaper at Lindenwood, KCLC is, being a communications major, you get to go on the radio as a student, and I was able to broadcast a lot of games from the state tournament. KCLC always went to Columbia and broadcasting games from the state tournament, so that's why I got a chance to get a hand in color commentary back in when I was in my early 20s, late teens. It kind of got me started in that regard as well.
Okay. So you were already doing it. And it was something you were passionate about pretty early on. Did you always know that this is the career path you wanted, or did you try other things?
No, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to play in the NBA, much like every little basketball player. But I pretty much figured out that there wasn't too many 6'2" power forwards in the NBA. So I decided to take basketball as far as it can go and still be able to, keep a hand in the sport, doing other things. That's the thing too. When you're a basketball player, you dream about going to the state tournament. You dream about going to the NCAA tournament, the Final Four, the NCAA, the NBA playoffs and things like that. I get a chance to go to all those different things, the Olympics and all those different events. Only I did it with a pen and a computer, not with the basketball uniform. I had a chance still to do all those things. Yeah, so that's what my career path took me in that direction. So I was able to reach my goals.
There are a lot of young athletes now who are interested in sports journalism and sports media. With the expansion of ESPN and Fox Sports Midwest, there are a lot of people who are interested. What's your advice for young athletes who may be in college and communications majors?
I think the main thing I always tell kids is to be able to write. When you're able to write, you can do almost anything in the business. If you want to be in television, if you want to be in the radio, obviously if you want to be in print, books, magazines, being able to write is a must, and I think it'll put you ahead of the game. Also today, it's so different than when I was coming up because of social media. You have opportunities now that you can do things on your own, even when you're in high school, like you're doing your own podcast. You can do that as a student. You can put together your own YouTube shows. You can have your own deal on social media. There's just so many things that are available to young people now that you don't even have to be in a classroom all the time. You can start your own career path, when you're a young teenager, and I think that's so important, and especially if it's something that you're really passionate about. You don't have to wait to go to this town, go to that town. You can just start your own and get your own experience, and you need a little camera, YouTube, and some technological, whatever how you pronounce that, technology, knowledge. Showing my age here, but all that is so. Everything is just so available and at your fingertips that you can, be your own enterprise. At this, you learn the business, without having just to sit in a classroom, and you can do it on your own now. That's I envy the young generation in that regard.
It is pretty fascinating how quickly technology changes and how, to your point, easy it is just to create something. Anything that you want to create, there's very low barriers to entry. You mentioned social media. It's also changed the way the games are played. There are lots of rankings these days. How have you seen the game of basketball specifically change in the past 30 years?
Oh, it's changed because, for one thing, you have one big change is that you have it's a year-round season, and you have the summer basketball grassroots season is as big as the season itself, especially at the high school level, with all the recruiting and the shoe companies and their influence and the massive amount of money they put in to the summer season. It just created a whole different animal in terms of rankings, in terms of the club teams, in terms of just it's just a whole different thing. You have to play well. You can play great for your high school team, but sometimes to get a scholarship, you have to play well on these shoe circuits in the summer. That's when coaches are really out in full force where they can see you. So, a lot of times, it creates situations where you have to really, concentrate on one sport. Where in the past, back in my day, the 2-sport, 3-sport athlete was common. It's still common now, but more in smaller schools. But there's a lot more specialization these days. People are in battling for scholarships from day one. So they're in camps. Everybody's got a trainer now. Everybody's got a guy who trains them.
Right.
Bill Sweat. My nephews went to people. I did it myself, but I went to different people, guys who knew what they were doing. Travel. And a lot of that because there's so much. ESPN. They're broadcasting all of the little league games now. Softball and baseball. They broadcast all of college games. You can be on TV, so parents see that. And they see, there's an opportunity for my son or daughter to get national exposure, and then obviously the ultimate dream is to make that money and get that,
right.
Get that professional contract. So, it leads to good and it could lead to the bad, but the whole landscape of sports has changed in that regard.
It has. It's changed tremendously. What's your advice for parents whose athletes may want to play at the collegiate level? Because you've seen everybody, you've seen it all within our region. What's your advice to them? How can they best help their kids prepare?
Well, obviously you want to be supportive and you want to be a cheerleader, you want to be an advocate. But you don't want to be an enabler. You want to be realistic. So many parents have such unrealistic goals of how good their kid can be or what level their kid can play at. First of all, at the beginning, you want to have them make sure they enjoy what they're doing. If this is what they really want to do, it's got to be more important to the kid than it is to the parent. If it's more important to the parent for the kid to have a scholarship than it is to the kid's going to fall short,
Right.
So you got to make sure this is what they want to do, help them, push them in the right direction and be there for them. And then there's other things, like I wrote a column last year on, sometimes you just got to leave the kid alone, let the kid make mistakes, let the kid find their own way. As I said, you've played your ball or you've had your moment in the sun, so let the kid, give them the breathing space that they need to develop and, have their own career and, develop their own skill set in whatever sport they're playing. And, they know you're always there to support them. And you got to, and educate yourself in the process as well. Know what you're talking about, or, be around people that know what they're talking about in the sport and in this whole process of, maybe going to the next level, educate yourself. That way you're better informed to help your son and daughter, as opposed to just sitting there yelling, no, do this, no, do that. And it's like the blind leading the blind. You don't want that type of scenario.
Right. And you've seen it all. It's really difficult when parents sometimes add additional pressure. And I know there's a fine line between motivating, inspiring, encouraging your kid and applying lots of pressure. And I know you've seen kids just break down from not feeling like they're able to perform at that level or not being able to perform at that level and parents not being supportive at times. So your column was right on point with that. You wrote a couple...
Yeah, I think... Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You can go ahead.
No, you're right. Like you said, it's you want to. Like I said, everybody, parents, loved ones, they're the most supportive, most love their children and everything. With the kids, it would be heartbreaking for a parent if a kid would tell you, I don't want to do this anymore, and you're the reason. There wouldn't be a worse feeling. So that's why it's supportive. You want to give them the space they need. to become their own player, and it's like to become their own person, and you know that you're always going to be there for them, but it's their path, not yours.
Exactly.
As a parent or a loved one, let them follow their own path, and then you're right there to steer them and guide them in the right direction if they need it. So, everybody handles it a different way. There's no doubt about it. There's no one way. But, if the kids feel the pressure and he's starting to break down, he or she a lot of times is going to let you know. And that's sometimes that's a good thing, and you will back off. And then you don't want to find out too late if the kid just says, I don't want to do this anymore. And then that would be a shock to the system. If the kid,
Right.
I've seen that. The kid gets to high school and they're burned out, or they say, no, I don't want to go to college. I want to go to college and play. I just want to hang out, or 12 years old. I'm tired. That's even worse. I don't want to do this. So let them do their thing.
A lot of times parents invest so much, whether it's time and money and resources. They invest a lot in kids, and I think it's a blessing when parents are able to do that. But having that balance makes a difference, and helping kids navigate that process is really helpful as well.
No question, no doubt at all. Like I said, my new nephews, and like me, my sister, we were all late bloomers, so we weren't the type. We didn't reach our success until we were in high school, past college, and I was like that. My sister was like that. My nephews are like that. So it was a little different. We weren't athletes that when we were 8, 9 years old. These prodigies were parents. We were among the best. Everybody in the neighborhood knew how good. So so parents were pushing you. My philosophy was always like, I could care less who the best 10-year-old basketball player is or the best 12-year-old football player. People always come and tell me about that. I said, that's fine. He's good. I guess just the other day, guy sent me a text about his kid that he plays for a team, the nation's #1 ranked 5th grader basketball.
What?
I'm like, who does that?
They're ranking 5th graders now? No way.
Yeah, evidently. Yeah, oh yeah, they've been doing this mess for years, and that type of stuff just, obviously that just makes my skin crawl when I see stuff like that. Because parents could go wild, kids can read into that height, and then all of a sudden, by 9th grade, that kid could grow. He can be the next, he could be the next Jason Tatum, Bradley Beal, or he could be a kid that could be done at 13 years old, looking to do something else because of all that type of pressure. You never know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But you just, you like you said, you just. If they really, really want to work and be that type of player and be that next level player, they will determine that.
Yeah,
not mom or dad or uncle or aunt. They will, and then once they decide that they want to go that route, then that they're all in, then you can be all in and help them try to achieve that goal.
Exactly, but they have to be willing to put in the work first.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly.
I want to shift gears just a little bit. We know it's the 20th anniversary of the WNBA, and there were other women's professional leagues before the WNBA. Will you talk a little bit about the impact that the WNBA has had on basketball and for young women especially?
Oh, it's been amazing. I mean, 20 years, like you said, there have been other leagues, in the 70s and even in the late 80s. But I think what happened when David Stern and the NBA really decided to get behind a women's league and support a women's league, I think that was enormous to have that support and to see the kind of talent and the type of coaching that you've had, and then what that does, and then the fact that they're on TV, the championships are on TV, and then especially in some of those places, those first couple of years in Houston when they won those 3 championships, the arena was filled. Madison Square Garden, they were playing at Liberty. Madison Square Garden, 15, 16, 17,000 people. And obviously, a lot of people in those stands are little girls. When Cheryl Swoops was out there winning, and Cynthia Cooper and Teresa Weatherspoon and Lisa Leslie, those early years of the WNBA, somewhere out there is a little baby Del Don sitting there watching, like, oh, a little Brittany Griner. That's impossible. Talk about an oxymoron.
Exactly.
A baby Brittany Griner. There's a little bitty girl in Jefferson City named Maya Moore watching the games on TV, and they're saying, oh, God, I can be another, Lisa Leslie. I could be another, Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Fuchs, Rebecca Lobo. You see all those people who are kind of the pioneers. Then you just go back even further, though, even before there was a WNBA, where you had Cheryl Miller, you had Nancy Lieberman Klein, you had Lucy Harris. I'm going back to my day in the 1970s. You had Deborah Rodman. Everybody knows Dennis Rodman, the Worm, who was one of the all-time great. His sister Deborah was an incredible player at Louisiana Tech. All those great Texters teams that won national championships. So, yeah, there's just so many players. And those the Cheryl Millers, and they begot the Cynthia Coopers and Cheryl Swoops, and obviously it leads to some of the great players that we see today. And then just the fact that it's grown the women's game to now, instead of a little girl having to walk around with a Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant jersey, you see little girls walking around with Maya Moore, Alina Del Don jerseys, McCautry jerseys. Little girls have their heroes, and I think that's a tremendous thing.
It is tremendous. I mean, I remember when it first started and being in high school thinking, wow, these women are strong and graceful and tough and have class as well. It was really inspiring for so many of us.
Yeah, to see them, like you said, these are professionals. This is the top of the line. And now they have something to aspire to. After, obviously there's high school, there's college, and then before then, a lot of women, we have to go overseas. You wouldn't hear from them, but they're making good money, going to Russia, but now you can, now you can, be a All-American, and then now there's something, I want to go to the league. I want to aspire to be a number one draft choice, like, what's the Stewart from UConn or Tarazi. It doesn't end there in college now. They have draft day. You watch the draft on TV, just like the men, and it's fabulous.
It is, and having support of the NBA and men, like you said, is really helpful because there are a lot of dads who want their daughters to be like those women that they see as well. And there are a lot of men who are now supporting women's basketball on an even higher level, and I think it'll only help and grow the game that much more.
Absolutely, and like I said, we just lost Pat Summitt this week, and people always know her as the legendary coach of Tennessee. But Pat Summitt was probably the most influential person in women's sports outside of Billie Jean King, just because of how she built the women's game. You see how, the Final Four, the colleges, but she's as responsible, obviously, to the league got so, women's basketball became so popular that the NBA would decide to put their name behind the women's league and put all their muscle behind it into the entity. And, Pat Summitt created that through her brilliance as head coach and then her willingness and her determination to make sure the women's game would be as big as the men's game in its own regard. So, I still watch the games now. I just watched Kansas the other night just go for 30 or 15 amazing players. You see the talent grow. It's just like the men's game. You see Candace Parker, who's a 6'5", forward guard center who can do everything on the court. Instead of 30 years ago, a 6'5" girl would be anchored underneath the post. Del Don's a 6'5" guard. Brittany Griner's a 6'9" dunker, shot blocker, runs the court, graceful. You see the evolution of the women's game, much like you see the men's game. Girls are taller, but they can do things like guard. And once again, it's a year-round sport for the young ladies as well. So you see the evolution of the players as well over the generations.
The evolution of the players is really remarkable to see and surprising at times, because we've been taught so long that these are the positions, right? And I think Golden State and what they've done over the past few years, everything that we thought to be true about the way the game should be played has totally changed. And I'm interested to see what the future looks like for basketball, because it'll be nothing like it was years ago.
Yeah, it's to me it's a double-edged sword. I got mixed feelings about it. I love the movement. I love how the game is played. I love the shooting and the freedom of movement. But to me, I grew up in an era where the big man was a important, a dominant, and a integral part of the success of a basketball team. And much to my chagrin, that has ceased to be the case, and that's a shame for young guys who are, still going to be a lot of young lottery winners out there who are going to be 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet tall. And I think what they're doing, you see many of them, I think it's a lot from the European influence. A lot of them have become jump shooters. They're kind of guards, and they could play out on the court. This is good. Like Anthony Davis is amazing to watch. And you see like Dirk Nowitzki, 7 feet, Durant, a 7'2" guard, basically, shooting 3-pointers, putting the ball on the floor, which is fine and good. But I came from an era also where you had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the skyhook. You had Akeem Olajuwon. You had Shaquille O'Neal. You had Bill Walton, guys who were anchors offensively and defensively. They went, developed low post games, and they shoot a little bit. And they become dinosaurs. My favorite player outside of my uncle is Tim Duncan. And Tim Duncan is still an old school player, but he's still a very effective player. And he's about 72 years old, and he's still out there with the old school game, just schooling young cats, right? Because these cats don't know what to do. The big man today is somebody that you set the high screen and roll down, and we'll throw the alley-oop dunk. You protect the rim, run the court, and we just don't teach you anything about the game. If you're DeAndre Jordan, he can block shots, rebound, has no offensive skills, but that's good enough. That'll get you a $25 million contract.
Right.
You won't learn the nuances of playing in the post, passing, and the big man's more of a prop now than a focal point. And then to me, that's that's aggravating for me to watch. I love Golden State, but to see a bunch of 6'5", 6'6" guys out there winning the NBA championship, that's still something wrong with that.
I'm with you.
That's what you do in high school.
I was saying I'm with you.
That's
I share your pain.
Yeah, that's what you do in high school when your neighborhood team, there's nobody in your neighborhood grows above 6'3", so you put a bunch of 6'2" guys, 6'1", 5'11" guards out there, and you got to make do with what you got. But in the end, you got access to all the 7-footers and big guys, and instead of I think it's like, well, we're not going to try to develop them, so we'll just we'll just change the game, shoot a bunch of threes, and let you get in where you fit in, big men, and that part. And then I think the other part is also the point guard has changed, position has changed as well. I'm from a day where the point guard was very good. He could score, but he made sure everybody else got involved in the game. He was a facilitator. He made sure everybody got to sit at the table and eat. But now today's point guard, everybody is like the Russell Westbrook, Derrick Rose type. You get the ball, you get yours first. Everybody else tries to figure it out, and that's tough for me to watch too at times as well. I mean, Kyrie made it work, but LeBron was basically a point guard. But having a point guard be your number one option where he shoots all the balls, and everybody else is like, okay, y'all figure it out. That's different to me too.
It is. It's very different. It's very different to watch and hard to see how the game has evolved because there's less continuity amongst most teams. I mean, Golden State is an anomaly for a number of reasons, but most teams don't have that continuity and moving without the ball. There's a lot of ball screens and threes, and that kind of becomes the offense, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it's I love like I said, Golden State and the way they play. They're just not out there indiscriminately shooting 3-point shots. Like you said, there's a method. They move without the ball. And see, I'm a big Spurs fan, and I think they were kind of predated Golden State a couple of years. But they were Golden State with bigs. They had Duncan. They had Robinson, and they had some big guys inside who can play, who can score inside, but also can pass that ball. But then they just moved the ball. They 7-8 passes in a 24-second shot clock, and they just, they play team basketball. But Golden State just did it just with a bunch of small guys out there. So I love the 5-man game because everybody gets to touch the ball, and it's just harder to guard, and it leads to high percentage shooting, and more people can get involved and feel involved. Like I say, the ISO ball sometimes it grades on me, but if you got a great player, and you don't have some other good players with them, then that's the way to go. But I like to see the ball move, but I like to see the big guy intertwined in that as well.
I'm with you, Earl. I feel my heart and soul hurts for the big people out there.
I don't know. I'm a dinosaur, so yeah, I'm
Yeah.
kind of an old school geezer guy. I give a lot of arguments to young people over that. Oh, Earl, you're stuck in the 80s, 90s. I'm like, yeah, Jesus, yeah, I guess I am, but I'm slowly adapting. But that's just me.
You know what though? When you see a big kid or a tall player who has that footwork of Tim Duncan, everyone recognizes it. You can't deny it that they've been taught how to play
Yeah,
the game, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
it is, and Tim. I think Tim didn't grow up here. Tim grew up on the islands. And
Right.
he was a swimmer, so the hurricane destroyed their pool. So he wasn't you know his value system wasn't flawed coming in. You're told how great you are at 13, 14. You're a big guy, so yeah, we're gonna teach you how to do the footwork and shoot it off the glass and post moves and the nuances. And he learned all that at Wake Forest as well, and
Right.
he just carried it into a 20 year. And it's not like, okay, we're gonna make he post play to big guys now. Post play is like being sent to the principal's office. Oh, I
It
want to
is.
go in there. That's not good. You just
Like you got in
Durant is
trouble.
7 feet tall. Yeah, yeah. LeBron is 6'9", 220, and LeBron didn't win a championship until LeBron figured out that go in the low post sometimes and take advantage of your size.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's such a great passer. They're going to double team you. Then you can pass it out. But when you added that element to your game, as big as LeBron's Karl Malone size as a guard. But when you add in Durant, I think is still, he's still a jump shooter. But you don't realize you have such a great advantage at 7 feet tall. You go in the post, you got a 6'4" guy guarding you. You can't.
Exactly.
So it's almost like they fight. They fight it. It's not sexy. It's not
Right. Not at all.
cool. It's not cool. It's not cool to do that, and it's like you're denying yourself a big part of the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've watched a lot of basketball over the past 50 years of your life. And this summer will be no different than what you've done in the past. Will you talk a little bit about where you're going to be this summer and what you'll be doing in July?
Yeah, I'll be in a lot of different grassroots tournaments. I'll be in Overland Park, Kansas next weekend for the 8th, 9th, and 10th for the Mullins high-profile tournament. A friend of mine, Jerry Mullins, puts it on the junior college camp as well, national players. Then I'll be back here in the middle of July in St. Charles for the Adidas Three Stripes Alliance Invitational at Lindenwood in St. Charles. And then that following week, the last weekend in July, the 21st to the 24th, I'll be back in Kansas, Overland Park, the Kansas City, Kansas area. There's 3 different big events there. There's the Jayhawk Classic, which is in Overland Park. There's the Kansas City Hardwood Classic, which is in Lawrence, Kansas, and the Sunflower Showcase. And it's big. July is NCAA evaluation period, so these kids will definitely be playing for scholarships. College coaches will be at every stop. Every kid game will be played before dozens and dozens, sometimes 200-300 college coaches will be at every event. So this was definitely high stakes in terms of grassroots, and kids can really help cement their futures with good performances in July here.
They can. It'll be a really busy month, but it's always great when you walk into a gym, and absolutely love your presence there. And people know that you know the game and that you evaluate well based on all of your years. If someone wants to learn more about you, or they're interested in sports journalism, if they want to let you know about an upcoming event, how can they reach you?
Oh, they can reach me via email, eaustin@stlamerican.com or earlaustinhoops@gmail.com. That's probably the best way to reach me.
Perfect. So listeners, definitely check out earlaustinjr.com. Pick up Earl's columns every week in the St. Louis American, tons of great articles about what's going on in sports here locally as well as nationally. And Earl, I just thank you again for being on the podcast. It's been so fun interviewing you and having you on the other side of this.
Well, it was my pleasure, and congratulations to all your success. You're doing a wonderful job. You're a great player, a great coach, and to see all the other things that you're into, the personal, the speaking and everything. Yeah, you're an inspiration to a lot of people, and continued success to you. Okay, Angie?
Thank you. Take care.
This is Athletes as Educators.
Thank you for listening to the Athletes as Educators podcast. Connect with me through the Athletes as Educators Facebook page or at Athletes Educate on Instagram. Be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode, and go over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. For more resources and information about today's podcast, you can check us out at AngelaRLewis.com.